fans.
God.
Matty Maui reporting live from the satellite campus of Three Man Weave. This is the Field of 68 Best Bet show presented by our fine sponsor at BetRivers. Yes, Jim, basketball is what we discuss. I apologize if there's a glare. The sunrise is quite poetic as I look at as the Big Island Tiger to my right.
How hard can you play
the
this
beaches
up?
of Maui to my left? I'm going to play it up pretty hard. And this is a whole week thing. This is not like a 1 day or a 2 day thing. This is, you have to settle in with my new alter ego. Apologies for missing yesterday's show. You guys did a fantastic job holding down the fort with the 2-man. I apologize about the Penn disastrous double OT no cover overtime, the bane of our existence. But folks, before we get into the actual outline and show content, please smash that subscribe button. Helps us, helps BetRivers, helps all of the overlords who run this thing at Field 68. Do that. It's a good show. It's a nice program. Continue to tune in. A lot of MTEs kicking off today. Heavy slates coming at you the next 3, 4, 5 days. So plenty to talk about. We will get to a lot of your specific questions in the chat mob. We are routing all of those to the YouTube chat. So I'm not sure who's playing Czar or rounding that up. I did not appoint that. Jim.
I got you.
So lovingly volunteer. Thank you for taking that. But yeah, plenty of other games we'll talk about as well. Let's get into it. Before we get into the actual games, though, what did we learn yesterday? I was on 2 long flights, did not get my eyeballs in any live action. Jim, tell me what I missed.
All right. First thing, the Mizzou flag has been restored to its rightful order.
MIZ.
That emphatic -15 cover, the old 54-37 win. Gross. Well, the second thing is Matt and Kai, guys, I didn't think I would ever have that much fun watching Rutgers play DePaul in basketball. It was an electric game. There were 32 points in the final 5 minutes, 8 made threes in the final 5 minutes. It was just haymaker left and right. DePaul pulled it out. Kai, are we back on ranked DePaul?
I think they're a lot better than I expected going into the year. Yeah, I'm kind of on them. I do think Rutgers is pretty bad. They have some explaining to do, Jim.
I think that said more about Rutgers than DePaul, unfortunately.
I agree. Kai, you learned the following.
Well, Matt, I didn't learn a whole lot. I just watched some pretty darn good basketball. It's
just
nice
enjoyed.
to have Dayball back, by the way. Boise Bonaventure was great to watch. San Francisco, Nevada to cap off the evening was a treat. Those San Fran guards are unbelievable. Bouye, Stefanini, Shabazz is the fastest guy I've ever seen on a court.
I know.
It was incredible. Nevada played very well themselves. So just a really fun game to watch.
Your boy, Will Baker.
My boy, Will Baker showed out. First half, especially, he was on fire, doing whatever he wanted to, Matt.
He did. So here's what I learned. Again, didn't get to catch much action live yesterday, but did do some pretty diligent score tracking. Quick shout out to our guy, Timmy Miles. They say good teams win, great teams cover, and that's all Mr. Miles has done so far in his new tenure, new regime in San Jose State. The Spartans are 3-0 against the number. Almost beat Cal Baptist yesterday. They gave Stanford a mighty scare just before that. And then the first game of the year got that awesome win with the buzzer beater over Cal State Fullerton, covering the margin by an average of 7 points a game. I just like this team. The roster is not as bad as it looks on paper. And Tim Miles is a notorious program booster. And we're seeing it in sonic speed right now in NorCal. So shout out to Timmy Miles. Just want to give a quick ode to your work so far. Let's get to the slate. We're going to kick it off with the twofer in which our own Jim Root, the artist formerly known as Maui Jim, will be live in the flesh in attendance. The Roman main event, Jim, I believe this is at T-Mobile Arena, where we will see Wichita State-Arizona to start, and then Michigan-UNLV will be the encore, not played at UNLV's home venue. We'll get to that in a second. But first, Wichita State-Arizona. Jim, the big story here, Tyson Etienne, been battling an illness most of the season, the projected AAC player of the year, obviously important. He had that awesome buzzer beater to start the year for the Shockers, but they have not been as advertised to this point, and it seems like the market is starting to catch on as they steamed it up to, I think, -9. The Cats are favored by right now. What say you in this matchup?
8.5 at BetRivers right now. But yeah, I was surprised to see this go up, especially with the declaration that Etienne is healthy and playing. They thought he would be good to go, and it's already been announced today. So he's out there. That matters. Arizona has been fantastic. Like, they've done nothing wrong. They've just destroyed teams at home. But I was saying to Kai earlier, this feels a little like the 2019-2020 team that demolished everybody at home, but they went 0-3 against the spread in their little wooden legacy tournament in Anaheim. So I'm not ready to declare them like complete world beaters. I'm high on this team, But even being high on Arizona, Kai, the spread is nuts. Like I don't think Wichita should be almost double-digit underdog here.
No, on a neutral, it is kind of nuts to me, Jim. Arizona's a wagon. They might be just super, super good. They're up 19 spots already in KenPom. They've just rolled through everybody. This is by far the toughest team not to play, though, or to this point in the season, we'll say. Right. Wichita for themselves, Matt, they've looked pretty shaky. I can't say they've looked very good this season. Maybe that's partially because of ETN has been a little bit under the weather, obviously missed last game. I'm hoping Wichita's defense can show up in this game, slow the Cats down just a tad, just enough to keep under the number. They play hard. I do lean towards Wichita right now at 8.5.
I do too. I echo your guys' thoughts on this. Number feels too high to me. Jim, I will push back a little bit on your Arizona comparison. I like this team better than that 2019 rendition just because I think they have a clear identity. The problem with the 2019 squad was that it was a younger team at firstly, but there was this internal Nico Mannion versus Sean Miller stylistic clash where I feel like Sean Miller wanted to play through their bigs as Sean Miller typically has done historically.
Hey, that's Field of 68's Sean Miller. So you watch your tongue, sir.
No, I know he's part of one of our own. And I think he's right. I think his players were trying to take matters into their own hands when they had such a strong interior, fulcrum inside. This year, I just think there's a clear understanding of what they want to do and they want to play through their bigs, and Tommy Lloyd has that. And there's sort of we're all on the same page type mentality. I'm with Kai. I think we could talk about Arizona. We could be talking about Arizona as a top 20, top 15 team in the very near future. I don't know if I want to bet on Wichita to learn that the hard way here. So I will stay away and enjoy some good basketball.
Matt, I got one more piece of data for you here.
Love data.
Isaac Brown last year, small sample, of course, but 6-2-1 as an underdog. I think that will play better for them being an underdog. And I will say the same thing on the next matchup. But it's a little bit like Marquette. They are a bad big favorite. I don't think they're going to run away from teams. The explosive offense isn't there. The depth of scoring options isn't there. But I think they can hang around, as Kai mentioned, if the defense shows up. I think this is more a situation that sets up for Brown and the Shockers.
Agree. And we'll actually get to another team with a similar favorite versus dog split later in the outline teaser. But the second of the Roman main event tonight,
I'm locked and loaded with dog stats today. I'm telling you.
The dogs will be barking, hopefully, effectively. But Michigan-UNLV, they're running Rebs. Michigan, tough spot. Or actually, you could say it's a good spot coming off the home loss to Seton Hall. We've been high on Seton Hall, so I don't know if that result shocked us, but obviously losing outright was a little bit surprising, to say the least, especially after how impressive Michigan looked in the opener against Buffalo. Kai, this number's big. The key thing to know here is, again, this is not at UNLV's home gym at Thomas and Mack. Obviously, it's in their backyard in the desert there, but not in the friendly confines of the gym that they're used to. So that's sort of part of this handicap. There's a lot of other dynamics here. Do you think Michigan comes out with vengeance tonight and puts that Seton Hall loss to rest?
Kind of, honestly. It kind of feels like Michigan will dismantle them on both ends. If you're on UNLV, I think you have to hope that Bryce Hamilton goes off, has a huge game, which he's totally capable of doing. Now, the opener, 14.5, that felt way too high to me. And I lean towards UNLV at 12.5 now. And I'm sure if it gets down to 12 even, I think that line's right. So I would not be backing the Rebels. It's just very scary fading Michigan in general, Jim. Even with the Seton Hall loss, I still think they could be a top 5 team in the country.
Yeah, the offense can go through stretches where they're just unbeatable, and it's terrifying. We saw some of that against Buffalo at home. This is their first time leaving home, and it's a pretty young team. So I think that might matter a little bit. It is not a true road game, as Matt mentioned, but UNLV, I think, is another team that's set up better to be an underdog. They're 0-3 against the spread as a favorite, despite winning all 3 outright. All 3 have been ugly under the total. I think that's going to be the theme with this team this year. They're going to have the Kevin Kruger, Lon Kruger, really compact defense, force you to shoot over the top, be really disruptive. They've got a bunch of really quality transfers. It hasn't come together offensively yet, but I think there's enough talent here to be feisty as an underdog, double digits, kind of like that. I wish I had the 14, Kai. I'm not recommending 12.5. I think it's come down, like you said, to where it should be, but I still lean towards UNLV, Matt.
I do too. It's right. It's basically, it's a Lon Kruger light type of team, and Lon Kruger, defensive minded, slower tempos, always play better as an underdog. Offense is a major work in progress, very much under construction. both a byproduct of a brand new roster and a new system that Kruger is implementing there. But because they're well coached, they've been able to squeak by their first 3 games. Not an impressive schedule, but all 3 worthy or dangerous underdogs coming in there to the desert. We'll see how they hold up tonight against a much different test at Michigan. I think the right side here value-wise is UNLV. But again, I think the spot makes me stay away as an official play, as Kai mentioned, just coming off the Seton Hall loss. I think Michigan's pissed. I think they think they're in the elite. We're probably in agreement with that, and they want to prove it tonight in a high-profile marquee spot. All right, game number 3 here, harkening back to that same underdog versus favorite chasm in terms of when to back. Western Kentucky traveling to Memphis. The tops. Jim, I know you have some good data on Rick Stansbury as an underdog. I'll just toss to you right now. Tell us about that data and why the tops might be a live pup tonight.
Yeah, never back Western Kentucky as a big favorite. Don't do it. It's scary and usually doesn't go well. But Stansbury as a dog at WKU has been outstanding. Since he got there, they're 34-19 against the spread as a dog, 64%. But if you take out the first year when he was still kind of getting the roster together, they were a bad team outside the top 200 in KenPom. So last 4 years, 27-9 against the spread as a dog. They play up to their competition. They have the talent level to do it. Kai, we're a little concerned about some personnel issues for them, but it's a big number. I think they can bother Memphis and hang around here.
Yeah, much better as a dog. Western Kentucky definitely play to their competition. That goes both ways. They can play poor or good, depending on who they play. The Memphis team just kind of spooks me. Honestly, after that SLU domination, that was pretty eye-opening. They were up 61-37 at one point against SLU, a team that I think similarly is better as a dog, and I thought they would be competitive in that. Memphis just totally outclassed them. I'm worried, Matt, without Keith Williams, that this WKU team just isn't ready yet. If he's back in the lineup eventually, I think they'll be a very, very good team. Right now, it is a hard stay away against a Memphis team that truly could be top 10.
Another concern for me, we've seen Memphis swallow up inferior, shaky ball handling teams with that just overwhelming pressure. Point guard for Western Kentucky, Davian McKnight, sophomore, sort of a freshman star last year, really broke onto the scene. Very talented, one of the 4 or 5 star, the plethora of 4 or 5 star caliber guys Stansbury has there. McKnight turned over 7 times against South Carolina last game, and they have, here pressure. Memphis is a notch above, so that does concern me. They just got Cameron Justice back. He's more of a shooter, not as adept as a ball handler. I'm not sure he helps handle that pressure. So yes, I think the value is on Western Kentucky because of the talent and just the mentality in which they play as underdog. But man, I worry this could be like a 25 turnover runaway in the first half, and we could be scratching our heads pretty quickly. So another fence riding game for me. How boring to start off my Maui Matt tenure.
Matt, what are the chances 7'5" Jamarian Sharp gets dunked on, baptized by Jalen Duren in this one?
I had a quite high. Duren's been really good. He's been really good. Yeah, these. It's almost like Memphis has a lot of talent. It's almost like they just have all 5 stars.
Oh, it's almost like that.
It's shocking. Fifth game here before we. I'm sorry, the fourth game before we get to the chat mob inquiries. The Peach State Showdown. Kai, not exactly as advertised from a aesthetically pleasing perspective as this matchup looks on paper. Georgia Tech at Georgia. Tom Crean, not exactly a great start to this season. It was to be expected. A patchwork roster of JUCOs and low-end 4-star, high-end 3-star type of talent. Just hasn't had that recruiting magnetism working. Georgia Tech also still trying to find their way, losing Jose Alvarado and Moses Banks last offseason. Still have Michael DeVoe, but both teams to me are offensively challenged. I like the under as a quick teaser. What are you looking at here?
Moses Wright. Yeah.
Moses Wright. Sorry. I think.
Yeah. Tech is definitely a different team without Alvarado and Wright. Their offense, just isn't as good. And that's
no Bubba. No Bubba either.
Bubba's still out too.
Yeah.
Right?
Bubba's out as well. And that's an obvious statement, but it's true. And they already got their bad non-con loss out of the way. That's kind of a Pastner staple at Georgia Tech. So they lost to Ohio.
It's usually at least one. So be careful.
At least one. Yeah. The spread feels kind of low considering our preseason thoughts on both these teams. Georgia, for their credit, Jim, has looked a little better than I expected. They hung with Cincinnati, a team that I hold in pretty high regard. And I'm actually surprised this game's come down from the opener. It's only 3.5 right now. I lean towards Georgia Tech. It seems like this could be a game they just lock down Georgia and beat them by nearly double digits.
Yeah, 3.5 feels a little short. Matt's point about the under, I think, is valid. Crean has relatively intelligently slowed things down. Like, he doesn't have the talent level to run. He doesn't have the speedy point guard and Severe Wheeler to run up and down. And so he's shortening games, shortening possessions, which traditionally Matt helps as an underdog, bad as a favorite, kind of the theme so far today of this episode.
Yeah.
But it feels maybe like this could be the Florida State reversal of the rivalry. This is a huge rivalry, clean old fashioned hate as it's known in the football field. Georgia's won 5 straight, including a super dramatic one in like double or triple overtime a couple of years back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So this feels like Georgia Tech, if you're not going to get this one, which one are you going to get? Like, this is as down as Georgia's going to be. So yeah, stay away from me here, especially at the current number.
Yeah. Another thing to the matchup, Georgia Tech will probably sit back in that zone, farther deflating the tempo. It just incentivizes, well, I guess not incentivizes, it forces Georgia to operate methodically in the half court. This could play to mid 60s type of possession, maybe even low 60s, which is shocking to think of a Tom Crean coach team to ever play in that end of the spectrum. But as we've seen the first 3 games, the evidence is there. I like the under. It's been bet down. I think 135, 136 in that range. I would still take it at the current price. Anything below 135 is probably a little too short, a little too low, I should say.
Matt, quick trivia for you on this one.
All right.
It's not trivia. This is for both of you. Do you think Jabri Abdur-Rahim is going to get his O rating above 50 today? Can he do it?
No. What did he have at Virginia? Was it like below 70?
Well, he didn't really play enough, but it's 72.7. He's at 42.1 right now.
Yeah, they need him to be good, and he has not been. So, all right, chat mob questions. Jim, do we have a healthy batch, or are the folks still snoozing this morning?
Oh, no, they're ready. They're ready to rock. Yeah. They're engaged. Brandon Bailey started off first. We don't have any of the tournament games on the outline because we weren't sure about matchups yesterday. So if you have tourney questions, send those in.
Next few days, definitely. Yeah, tourney questions, chat mob, perfect place for them.
We'll start here with West Virginia Marquette semifinals in that tournament. Bob Huggins was not pleased yesterday. His post-game interview after beating Elon was so grumpy. It was they won by 19 and he was like, "We stink." Like, all right, well, whatever you say. Kai, we have Marquette as an underdog again. Do we like him?
Yeah. Line feels about right at 5. This makes 2 games in a row that Bob Huggins has been just pissed in the post game. So clearly he's still ironing things out with this team. So I would lean towards Marquette at +5, man. They've proven twice already to be a feisty dog. One outright 2 times in a row. Maybe it's time to start respecting them a little bit. They were absolute fireballs from 3 against Ole Miss. So maybe a little bit of shooting luck there last game. But yeah, I'd probably lean their way. West Virginia, like I said, it might be a little out of sorts to start with Huggins the way he's acting.
Agree. Yeah, West Virginia, just not the same team this year. I'm starting to sell some of my West Virginia stock. But defensively, too, I haven't really been that impressed. I have a lot. I have too much. It's probably time to give some back. I watched Torrance Watson a little bit have a nice little game against, not to prod the one of the many former Mizzou defectors who continues to shine in greener pastures. Sorry.
Every Mizzou transfer does well at the next stop.
All right, Matt, next one is the game after New Mexico State, Utah State in Myrtle Beach. Davidson Penn. We did not see the market fade Penn the same way we saw them fade Utah State coming off the double overtime. Is there a reason for that? Do you think they're going to stick around against Davidson? What do you think?
It does feel like a good matchup for Penn. Right? It's 2 smart teams, 2 teams like to execute effectively. 8 feels like a high number for Davidson, a really good Davidson team. But I don't think they have like that top-notch gear to blow away a really solid, sneaky, talented red and blue squad. Kai, I would lean toward Penn here at the current number. Like you said, got bet up to 8. So maybe you can counterpunch here, go against the early steam. But no big whale size play for me, Kai.
Penny, for your thoughts, who's better, Davidson or Utah State?
Davidson by a nose.
They're real close to even for me. I might say UMBC West is a little better.
So the line was 9.5 yesterday for Utah State, 8 here at Davidson. I mean,
I
don't know. Just trying.
I guess I agree with. I like that context. I agree with how they positioned it today. If you disagree, if you agree with Kai or Jim, then you're right. This is probably a good play here.
I probably think Dave, honestly.
Yeah. Matt, you mentioned matchup. I think that's huge for Penn. Like if you can out athlete them, you can destroy them. Look what Florida State did to them, just absolutely murdered them. But they can hang around with somebody like Utah State or Davidson that's more execution based. So yeah, I would lean towards the dog again there. Kai, we're going back to you. This game has started, but I'm just curious what you think about Bradley and Colorado State. Thomas Tiddley asked about this one. Any thoughts? It's 9-8 early, I believe.
Okay, I was going to say I'm not going to look at the score. My initial thought going into it was Colorado State would kill them. That was my initial thought. Now looks like they're in a dogfight with Bradley. So there you go. Matt likes Bradley a lot.
Matt might secretly
I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. It's the first game all year. Bradley said all their players. Henry's back. They just got. I want to say Teravainen, but it's not Teravainen. I keep thinking of the winger for the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't know why. But Bradley's gonna be good. Give him time, folks. The Braves are gonna come around and they're gonna be feisty as a dog. I disagree with Kai. Go ahead, Jim.
They're going to cover like 3 games in a row at some point to get up to 4-10 against the spread. You're going to be like, see,
look out.
You.
It's like Fresno State or Kansas State last year. I'm just like, this team's coming. Wait for it. Never came.
Quick hitter. 1-word answer from both of you. Evan Schwartz asks, more likely to cover Michigan or Maryland?
Kai.
I stumped
Michigan.
I don't trust Maryland.
I'll say Michigan as well. It's just,
I don't trust
the offense is too strong.
Yeah, that took too long to think about.
Yeah. All right. Ryan Smith, we are getting to Liberty Iona right after chat. So I'm going to table that one. Do one more before I send him for the end of the outline. Matt Catanacci asked about one that you and I both like, Matthew. UTEP at Pacific, although the line has been on the move.
Miners. This is what the miners
really?
gesture.
Okay.
I think it is like the upside down pickaxe. I could be dead wrong. I'm sure. Please, UTEP fans in chat, if there are any of you, correct me. Yeah, I like Joe Golding. Sydney Boom was late to debut. This team has Sule Boom. Pardon me. Was late to debut. I think this team is going to improve rapidly. In Pacific, we've all mentioned this before. This is the first year without Damon Stoudemire. It's a new regime. While it's a former assistant, you would think the continuity should play well. I think the loss of Stoudemire is a sneaky big loss. Pacific's just not the same as we saw the last 2 years. So I'm going to look to fade them.
Are going different directions. They are passing each other in the elevator right now, going opposite ways. All right, Matt, I'll let you go back to the outline.
Well, you teased us. Iona versus Liberty. We have 2 great mid-major showdowns today. The first of which, Iona against the Flames. This is a neutral site matchup in Kissimmee, Florida. The Flames were neck and neck with LSU for 35 minutes and then basically took the early flight home. That really embarrassing meltdown there from a well-coached and methodically smart team in the Flames. Iona's taken a lot of love from the market here early, though, Kai. It's been bet all the way to Iona as a favorite. Mm-hmm. I tend to think Iona is the better team, despite some of their minor nitpicks with early struggles. We mentioned this as well. Maybe we're being overly harsh about Iona, or I am because I had such high expectations. Do you think they should be favored against Liberty?
No, I don't. I liked them when they were like a 3 or 4 point dog, which was close to the opening price. They've just gotten slammed. I think some places now they're plus one at BetRivers, but I'm sure there's other minus ones there for Iona.
Hit it, BetRivers. Customers.
I'm surprised. Liberty's tough, man. They shut down the paint. Iona has yet to prove they can shoot from the outside or even willing to. It seems like they're kind of more so focused on posting and driving. I think it's a little bit of overreaction to the market right now, betting Iona all the way down. Like I said, I like them at the bigger price, Jim, but I think the value might be on Liberty currently.
Yeah, I kind of think this is a coin flip, like a total pick'em game, and it's basically where the line has settled. So I don't have a ton here, unfortunately. But going against a pack line-esque system in what Liberty throws out, a team that can't really shoot that well or isn't willing to shoot, like you said about Iona, that's concerning. And I think Liberty has a little bit of a bounce back in them after that, frankly, embarrassing final 5 minutes at LSU.
I like Iona quite a bit here. If Rick Pitino called me for my advice on how to prepare for Liberty, I would just say, just watch the LSU tape. LSU unveiled a pretty dynamic press and Liberty was completely lost. And Iona has the horses to do such. And we've seen Rick Pitino in years past deploy similar schemes. We haven't seen it this year as much. I'm hoping he might throw pull out that part of the playbook today. I like the Gales. That's my 2 cents. Let's continue. Yale at Vermont is our second of the prime time, quote unquote, mid-major showdowns today. This one is at Vermont. The Bulldogs traveling a fairly quick, they're not a far travel, East Coast, the Northeast corridor there. Vermont getting Ryan Smith back the last 2 games. He was dominant in their most recent exhibition game. Ryan Davis, sorry. What did I say?
Maui Matt is all over the place. Named.
Yeah,
Ryan Smith, I think.
Ryan Smith, Steph Smith, Ryan Davis. I'm just fusing former Vermont teammates together there. He was really good in their most recent D2 game. Obviously, it was against a D2 opponent, but he looks like he's back. We can safely assume that. Is that the difference here, Jim, against a Yale team that's been pretty impressive?
Yeah, probably. Yale is kind of weak inside. They are like all wings and guards. I think Davis could really have a field day unless they double. And then Vermont's ball movement is just incredible. We watched them just cut Northern Iowa to ribbons with ball movement. And I'm concerned that same thing could happen here. Now, Yale's a little more, them in Northern Iowa, I would think have the same level of discipline coaching wise, but this kind of, the number just feels a tad high. I thought this would be like 3 and it's 5.
Yeah, exactly. In a game with 2 extremely good coaches like Jones, like Becker, and a dog that I respect in Yale, who I don't think is that much worse than Vermont. I agree. 5 feels just a smidge high, but I agree. I think Ryan Davis can dominate this game. He had 28-9 against that D2 team a couple of days ago. He's fully back. So I like the line's dead on. I have no lean either way. I think it's just going to be an awesome game. And again, another example of an awesome mid-major matchup we have.
Right. I think the coaching is a wash. The talent on both sides is pretty damn near a wash. So if you just put those two together, give Vermont, whatever you want to say, 3 or 4 points for home, then this line is pretty close to Jim's point, maybe a point or so high. But with that matchup advantage that you guys mentioned with Smith inside, maybe that is worth the point. So if add it all up component wise, the line's pretty sharp. Another womp anticlimactic. Stay away from the Weavers. We'll have some more emphatic takes later.
Yeah, we're saving it for best.
We're saving it.
Time. Yesterday they were all in the outline, but we're saving it this time.
Stringing you along, keeping you engaged throughout the entire program, like great showmen do. All right, next up, we have 2 more to close out this outline with really good mid-major against top-end elite SEC caliber team. The first of which, Ohio, traveling to Big Blue Nation at Rupp Arena. Jim, the Bob Kittens have been fantastic so far. We warned the masses that the loss of Jason Preston would not be a blow. They have plenty of bullets in the chamber, and they've showed out so far this season. Yeah. Pretty high spread, just given how good they've been against a Kentucky team that's, I have them in an elite crop of the national totem pole. I actually like Big Blue Nation here. I don't feel good about fading Ohio. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Because Ohio rocks, I guess. That would probably be why. I think they can take advantage of the weakness of Kentucky, which is perimeter defense. Sears can get into gaps, can get into the lane, kick out the shooters. They can really spread the floor. Like Vanderplas can hit threes. Carter's pretty versatile up front. The concern is no Dwight Wilson for Ohio. He has yet to play. Their true center, Sheway, could have 20 rebounds. Like he could legitimately put up another 20 and 20 type of game, and it wouldn't be shocking. I think Ohio can hang around, but the number does feel right to me, Kai. So no side. Yeah. I'm very curious to watch this. If Ohio goes in there and like puts a real performance together, we could start talking about at-large Bobcats.
Yeah, anytime you get a double-digit spread on a top 100 mid-major, it feels like that's the play, right? That's the side you want to be on. But Kentucky, I think there's a real chance they overwhelm them. This is the first game I think Dwight Wilson's absence will matter. I don't think it's mattered in the first few games. Jason Carter and Ben Vanderplas are plenty good. But against Kentucky, where the top line size is just different, the strength is different, it's going to matter. I agree 12 feels kind of right. So I'm staying all the way away, Matty Cox.
Matt, is this like the same spread that what we had with Michigan Buffalo? Does it feel similar to you?
There you go.
Yeah, I think yes, it does. I was going to harken back to the comparison with Memphis or Western Kentucky from earlier today. Kai, you mentioned the top 100 mid-major on the road. It feels like the dog is an obvious play. But given the way this game could play out, this is why I like the favorite. I think it'll be an up-tempo, high possession type of game. And when you're betting large favorites, at least for me, anecdotally, I like knowing that I have easy avenues, 2 points. And with Oscar Sheway and the massive advantage he has up front, I think Kentucky can have a field day inside. And if this game gets into they start to extend the lead, that might incentivize Ohio to play even faster, and it could spiral out of control. So I do like Kentucky, as good as Ohio is here.
You're assuming WKU's top 100, though, right?
Yeah, I know that was friendly. Matt
I am.
Some Hilltoppers.
I think they are. When they get Keith Williams, they will be fair. Maybe not right now. When they get Keith Williams, I think we can consider them in that crop. Final game, Jim, I have to go to you here. The Alabama homer, defender of all things, Nate Oates. They are hosting Oakland, who has been a mid-major mini juggernaut to this juncture. They have top-end talent in Jamal Cain, who was criminally wasted at Marquette. He has blossomed into one of the best mid-major pickups in the entire country. Have a stud point guard in Jalen Moore. Greg Campy has perfected the zone that was a sieve last season. It's now actually a tricky maze to navigate for opponents. Can Alabama solve it?
Enough. I mean, they're going to run. That's the big thing. They're going to try to not play against the zone. They're going to try to score in transition. The curious thing to me in this matchup is Oakland's shooting splits. They have not made threes at all, around 20%. Their opponents are about 21%. It's really helped their games stay under, and I think that's almost an illusion. I think this is going to fly over personally, even though it's a huge number. Maybe not fly over. That's too strong, but it's 151.5. I think this goes over. I think Alabama dictates the tempo, and Oakland sort of willingly plays along, and more shots go in for both teams. I think I would bet both shoot 35% at least from deep on a high volume, Kai, especially Alabama. No real take on side, but I think there's a lot of points.
Yeah, Oakland's been awesome this year. Credit to you, Matthew, for your call on them. They've been really, really good. This feels like a game they might run out of a little bit of juice. I think Alabama's too tough. I think they can exploit this zone that Campy's been playing, which is somehow worked this year, but got absolutely demolished last season. Yeah. And I agree with Jim. I think some shots start to fall for Alabama.
I think that's the key. It helps when no one makes threes. Zones look great.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think Alabama's going to take advantage of the transition a little bit more. You could probably say the same about Oklahoma State back a couple games ago when Oakland did beat them. But Alabama, I think, is a little bit higher tier than Oklahoma State. So I'm actually leaning towards the Tide.
No lean either way. Excited to watch this game.
Really?
Wow. No lean. I know. I should be on Oakland here.
Grizzlies, yeah.
I respect Bama a lot. I was just going to put you guys on the spot here. Who's better, Kentucky or Alabama?
Kentucky.
I'd probably say Kentucky right now, Matt.
Yeah, I think I have them in my ratings the exact same. So, Matty Fence Rider continues to live on.
One last note for the over there. Jawan Gary is likely out for Alabama, and maybe their best multi-positional defender. Just one little extra boost. Kane can probably dominate without him on the court.
And doesn't Alabama get Alex Chiku back today as well?
Potentially. I'm curious how much he actually plays right away coming up.
Right. He's probably okay. Yeah, we'll see what kind of impact it is. All right, that concludes the set outline list of games. One more round of chat mile questions. We'll get to the best bet locks. Jim.
All right, Danny V. Lav.
Knock on wood. Sorry.
UNCG getting points against UMass. This is on the neutral site in St. Petersburg at Eckerd College. Either of you have a take on this one? I've kind of been lower on UMass, and it worked out yesterday, but Kai, UNCG did not look good yesterday.
No, I've kind of soured on UNCG. I thought they were not going to fall off too far with Mike Jones taking over. I think he's a really good coach from Radford. This team's just not where it needs to be right now. So I've dropped them quite a bit. I think they should be getting points because they're not as good as UMass right now. So I'm staying away.
Jim, is UMass better without Trey Mitchell, given how good Trent Busik's been?
No.
Too far. Also, they are good, though. They look very good. They play more collective.
What'd you call him?
Trent Busick?
Buttrick. There you go.
Buttrick. Yeah. It's TT, not SS, right? I messed it up twice. Yeah. Okay.
I just like poking the bear with pronunciation with you.
I gotta get these up on my list.
All right, Matt. The battle of the J sound. GMU, JMU. George Mason, James Madison. Which one you got here? Obviously, the Patriots are flying high after the win at Maryland. Do they keep it going?
I hate that I'm fading George Mason because they were mega impressive in that game, but I will be on the Dukes here. I think the Dukes are awesome. It just seems like a huge letdown spot for Mason, a program defining when that elevates Kim English firmly into the sights of all Power Six suitors looking for new coaches very soon.
We're all fighting over him now.
Maybe he took a few too many phone calls the last few days, entertaining those. No, I'm all speculatory. I just think James Madison's awesome. And it's a tough spot here going to Harrisburg, Virginia.
All right, Kai, your Minnesota Golden Gophers. You have some ties to the state of Minnesota. They are hosting Purdue Fort Wayne. Mastodons, one of the best monikers in all of college basketball.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, Mastodons and Gophers. Can't get much better than nicknames. I liked it a little bit towards Fort Wayne on the opener. I'm still not a huge believer in Minnesota, even though they've played admittedly a little bit better than I expected coming out of the gate.
I think 3-0 against the spread.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm leaning towards Purdue Fort Wayne, but I'm still having flashbacks of last season when they just went on an absolute barf tour and couldn't cover a game to save their life.
They got hot late, though. They got hot late, and I don't know if the defense has not been addressed, but that they can absolutely score it. And they are I'm not going to, Maddie Moneyline's not going to make an appearance here, but the Mastodons are a team that have really high upside if they're all hitting shots and that offense is just carving through people. I think Minnesota's better than people give them credit for, so I'm not going to pick them here. But I think going forward, I would tag Mastodon as potential sneaky large underdog money line contender.
Yeah, Kai, I'm taking Barf Tour. I like that.
Barf Tour.
That's a good term.
Barf Tour plus 10.5, Jim.
Yeah. All right. HODL Savage and multiple others actually have asked about Creighton and Brown. We know that Brown is going to get Tamanang Cho back. He's probable, but limited, not at 100%. But Brown's been pretty impressive. Nearly won at North Carolina, gave them a heck of a game. Do they stick with Creighton here on a neutral court, Matt? Do you think they hang around with the young Blue Jays?
I do. Similar to the George Mason narrative with James Madison, you have Creighton coming all the way to the Virgin Islands. This is a predominantly freshman sophomore team. It's the first time they've left the state of Nebraska all year. So imagine you're 18 years old. You just had a monumental win over your arch rival, Nebraska. Now you have to go to the U.S. Virgin Islands to play an early tip against Brown. It just feels like the deadest of spots against a Brown team that's very athletic. They can defend. I think this game gets a little uglier. They muck it up, and that feels like a big number for a Creighton team that could barely cover against Pine Bluff and Kennesaw to start.
Mm-hmm. Yep, big number. Lean towards Brown.
Yep. All right, next one on the list. A couple more left. Joe Gunderson asking about Clemson and the Bonnies. Curious if he was asking about the over specifically because it's such a low total. Ken Pom has it 6 points higher. I mean, it's going to be a huge grind, but Matt, is there a route to points for either of these teams?
Yeah, I think there is for Clemson. They can shoot. I don't know if they're going to shoot the clip they have to start all year, but you looked at the roster preseason, it was like, whoa, Clemson actually has shooting this year. It's different. So yes, it's not a typical Clemson ugly muck it up team. There actually is some skill. They're not as athletic. So they're going to have to make shots, and I think Bonnies can score inside. I guess I would lean over just given how low the total is.
Yeah, I want to address that totals, points per game doesn't matter. Someone on Twitter disagreed with Jim's Temple under yesterday because Clemson's averaging in the 70s and so is Temple. Doesn't matter. Pace matters.
Pace and efficiency matters. 3-point shooting splits. Yeah. And hey, that under won yesterday, guys.
That under hit pretty easily.
Sweet redemption. Wonka Dog, our guy Wonka Dog asking about Weber and Ball State. Kai, I rode Weber to a nice winner yesterday. I think they rock. I think that team is awesome. Mm-hmm. And we're not real high on Ball State. Should we still be riding Weber around -9.5 today?
I love Weber and I hate Ball State. Unfortunately, 10 points, 9.5
so
points.
Big. I know.
Ball State's so brutal. I'm still just really mad about the Omaha thing when they were up 44-15 and they won by 2. I'll never get over it, Jim, for the entire season. Ball State's on my do not bet list for the rest of the year. And yeah, Weber State could be the real deal.
I'm thinking about forcing a Weber State bet here. I have it about 10, but my gosh, I'm really impressed by them. I think
the first half cut the margin half. Yeah,
there you go. All right, last one that I saw. Sorry if others have. There's one more that will be in best bets, but Howie Ree asking about Troy and North Dakota. I'm deferring to either of you guys on this one because I'll
take it.
Sitting on the fence. Go for it, Matt.
I almost took North Dakota. Felt the number was a little bit high, but the Nodaks have not been great this year. They lost a lot, and the roster is potentially bleaker than I thought. I think there's value on the Nodaks at the current price, but I did not officially take it. So it's my 2 cents, Kai.
The Montana win was impressive.
That was pretty impressive. True.
Yeah, when it was 5 or above, I kind of like North Dakota. 4.5 now, staying away.
Yeah, 5 or above would be a good place for me. I agree.
Troy has not had their starting point guard Duke Miles yet this year, so they're kind of dealing with some personnel issues. So keep an eye on that. All right, Kai, let's go to best bets. I will save one of the questions because it is for me. Tell the people what you got.
One of the few ones that hasn't really gotten blown up by the market, which is rare and maybe not a great sign at this point, but I'll go Arkansas State -1.5 as my best bet. They're going to Cape Girardeau, SEMO. That's about a 2.5 hour drive from Jonesboro. I think
I love a geography fact. Google Maps, baby.
Norchad Omier dominates this game. I hope he stays out of foul trouble. He's fouled out the last 2 games in 14 minutes apiece. That's including a non-D1 opponent. So if Omier can handle that, I think he'll have a big day. And also, if you haven't seen Arkansas State's guards this year, Desi Sills, Marquise Eaton, Caleb Fields, I believe his name is.
Yep. I think there's 2 Caleb Fields in college.
There's 2 Caleb Fields in college basketball. One's for Bowling Green. That's a super talented backcourt. Much more talented SEMO. I don't think SEMO has much home value either. So Arkansas State -1.5
Wow.
is my best bet.
Disrespectful to SEMO.
Shots, though. Goodness.
Sorry,
I don't actually know what it's called.
My boot heel brothers out there.
Right.
All right. I've got a 2-pack for my best bets. One was in the chat, mentioned a couple times. UT Martin. Last I saw was +15, I believe. I am riding with Ryan Ritter, basically heading back home, guys, down to Daytona Beach area. And I just don't think UT Martin is as bad as analytics and market have them rated. They returned no one from last year's roster, so I get why. There's just no real baseline for how good they are. But I think they're relatively competent. FAU's coming off a big emotional win, or not quite win, but down to the wire loss hosting Miami, Florida, big brother. So I think UT Martin can definitely hang around there. And my other one is an under, of course, guys. I've got
the Undertaker. There he is.
Undertaker's here. East Carolina and Old Dominion, under 131. East Carolina's been playing without Winston Tabbs all year so far. I think if he plays, that would help the over, but I'm kind of assuming he'll remain out. And Old Dominion is without their coach. Jeff Jones stayed home from this tournament due to an illness, and he had prostate cancer in the past. So I think it's kind of a scare for them. It did not help yesterday. They got blown out by Indiana State. I think this is going to be a crawl. Both teams a little bit inefficient offensively. As much as East Carolina might want to run, Matt, I still think Old Dominion drags the pace down and will go under 131.
I agree. That one does have Rock Fight written all over it. The encore for our best bets. I just have one today, and it's a scary one. And it's one that if it comes back to bite me, I may be fired from Field 68. I'm sure I'll be burned at the stake. I'm taking Pittsburgh. That's correct. The dumpster fire that is Pittsburgh, laying 6 to Towson. I just think this number is exceedingly low, given what, Pitt, they're not a good team, but they have size up front. They're athletic, and that's a pretty good negating factor against Towson, which lives on the offensive glass. If they can't get second and third shot opportunities, Towson can be really offensively challenged, and I think that shines through today. Also, Pitt just got back Jamarius Burton. Last game came off the bench. I think you see a larger workload today from him. He's a key factor for a backcourt that's really in disarray. So I'm not saying Pitt's a buy low per se, but in this particular spot at this price, I think they win by double digits.
I lean your way, Matt.
Thoughts, questions, concerns?
I lean your way, but it's Pitt.
Saying I think Pitt will win by double digits is just like, man, how do you even imbue any confidence into that statement? But
I have lost.
I respect you.
I'm on Island Time. The delusion of Island Time has really gotten to my brain here. All right, folks, we'll wrap it up. That concludes today's program. We'll be back tomorrow a little earlier, 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6:15 a.m. local time, Island Time for those of you Maui watchers. So set the alarm early. And again, folks, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. Do so now before we sign off. Again, until tomorrow.
Hit the like button. Hey, Matt, I don't know if you know this, but in the chat, it was decided if any of the videos while you're there get 100 likes, you are posting a video of you dancing in a grass skirt. So get excited.
Oh, okay. Well, then I retract all endorsement of liking that. Please don't I hit the unlike button, I guess, in that case. No, seriously, I will dance and dance well. So please do that now and come back tomorrow. Join us.